Hey guys, what's up? What games will you turn into RPGs? What game series, game franchises, or just singular games, or platformers, action games, hack and slash, third-person shooters, fighting games? What games would you turn or would you like to see turned into a role-playing game? Well, I have a lot of them, like a bunch, tons of them that I would love to see turned into an RPG, but I guess for this video I'll just settle for a couple of them. Well, in my case, I would love to see some spin-off RPG, maybe crossovers from certain video game franchises. And my most obvious example is BlazBlue. I love BlazBlue, it's probably one of my favorite fighting game franchises of all time, and it just has everything, man, everything that it needs to become an RPG. I mean, the character design is so detailed, you look at these games, and I know there's a lot of anime fighting games, a lot of anime 2D fighting games, and they have like, I don't know, these stereotypes or prototypes to become, or that resemble anime RPG characters. It's like they turned an RPG into a fighting game series, and then that RPG in particular was never released or something like that. And it just, when I first played BlazBlue and I saw the visual novel elements and the character design and everything, I was like, why isn't this an RPG already? Why is this a fighting game? And believe it or not, I thought it was a fighting game based on an RPG, and so I looked for an RPG called BlazBlue, but all I could find was fighting games and more fighting games. This series of games was made by Arc System Works, and they've made a couple of RPGs in the past, and they've also have these amazing series called Guilty Gear. Yeah, everybody knows them. And Guilty Gear, there's been a couple of crazy ass experiments, and none of them have been quite successful as the fighting games per se. There was one on the PSP that was called Judgment or something like that. It was like a beat 'em up of some sorts. It was good, don't take me wrong, but it wasn't that good. And then there was this Guilty Gear 2 Overture on the Xbox 360, which is like a hack and slash with action elements and strategy elements. This was mediocre at best. I mean, I didn't think it was a good game. Yeah, not a good game in my opinion, but not a bad game either. But in the middle, right? But the thing is that if there is going to be someday an RPG based on Guilty Gear or BlazBlue, it's probably gonna be some kind of action RPG, and I don't want that, you know. Okay, if they're gonna make an action RPG, make it a true role-playing game. Even if it's action, a true role-playing game, not just a hack and slash or an action game with small RPG elements. No, sir, a true role-playing adventure, turn-based RPG, strategy RPG, of all the characters, of all the games in the series. I don't care. That's what I would love to see, especially BlazBlue turn into an RPG. And another series, and this is gonna sound surprising because I'm not such a fan of this series, not the biggest fan of it, is Castlevania. I'm not a fan because I grew up with the NES titles, and they beat the crap out of me when I was little, and I sort of developed this love-hate relationship, like serious love-hate relationship with these games. And after Super Castlevania 4, I gave up. You know, they were just too hard for me. I was like 7 or 8 years old, and the games were great. I loved them. There was just something about them that I really liked, but I couldn't get into them. And I haven't played much of any of the other games past Super Castlevania 4. And there have been Castlevania games with RPG elements, like the most obvious example is Symphony of the Night, and then there's the DS titles that have some RPG elements here and there, but they're Castlevania games through and through, and that's not what I want. You know, I would love a turn-based RPG, or a strategy RPG, or true action role-playing adventure based on the Castlevania series. I mean, we got Curse of Darkness, and it has strong RPG elements because you capture monsters and then you train them, Pokemon, anybody. Anyway, this game, I played like 2 hours of it, and it resembled a little bit of an action RPG. But what about a turn-based RPG? A crossover of all the Castlevania games, true crossover, or an RPG spin-off. I would love to see that, you know. People will probably hate the game, but I don't give a shit. I will enjoy it, I will buy it and play it. Strategy RPG, Maybe? I don't care. Castlevania, BlazBlue, those are my picks for this video. How about a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG? Is that too much to hope for? Nah, I'm just getting way over my head now. A King of Fighters RPG. Anyway, now it's your turn, guys. What games would you like to see turned into RPGs? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!